for this section, we're going to cover frequency of sine and cosine function. Now, the formula, the rule for frequency is 1 over the period, or the absolute value of b over 2 pi. So, just like before, a, b, c, d. A is 1/2. B is -3, C is pi over 3, and D is -1. So, say I didn't ask you to find period, but you were given this and you're trying to find frequency, so frequency would be this right here. So the absolute value of b, so you're going to do the absolute value of -3 over 2 pi. The absolute value of -3 is just 3 over 2 pi. And then there's nothing else you can do. You can't simplify, nothing in common between 3 and 2. So my frequency is 3 over 2 pi. Now, had you found period beforehand, so say we're doing, using the same example but doing period, so period was 2 pi over absolute value of b, so it's 2 pi over the absolute value of -3, which is 2 pi over 3. Now when we're doing frequency, frequency was right here, 1 over the period, so 1 over 2 pi over 3. So just like before, when you're dividing with fractions, so I'm going to rewrite it as a division problem. So 1 divided by 2 pi over 3, it can be rewritten as 1 times 3 over 2 pi, which is 3 over 2 pi. So, again, when you are having a fraction within another fraction, meaning division with fraction, I convert it to multiplication and flip the second fraction. So 1 times 3 over 2 pi, which is 3 over 2 pi, same as our frequency. So, if you found a period beforehand, you follow this process. If you have not, you follow the rule, the absolute value b over 2 pi to find frequency. Alright, second example, we have y equal sine of 4 theta minus 5 pi over 6 plus 1. So, A, B, C, D. So A is just 1, B is 4, C is 5 pi over 6, and then D is 1. Alright, now if we're looking for just frequency, then follow the rule. Which is the absolute value of b, so the absolute value of 4 over 2 pi. So the absolute value of 4 is just 4 over 2 pi. Now, we can actually simplify this fraction because 4 and 2 are in common, they're both even numbers, I divide top by 2 and divide bottom by 2. So on the top will be 2. On the bottom, 2 pi divided by 2 would be just pi. So our frequency is 2 over pi. Now, had you found period first, which is 2 pi over the absolute value b, so 2 pi over the absolute value of 4, which is 2 pi over 4, you can simplify by dividing top and bottom by 2, so it's going to be pi over 2, and then frequency is 1 over the period, so 1 over pi divided by 2, or pi over 2. So when it's 1 over a fraction, pi over 2, our division form would be 1, or the numerator first, divided by our denominator, pi over 2. When we're dividing with fraction, we write it as a multiplication, 1 times the flip of the second fraction, so 2 over pi, which is 2 over pi. So same thing as frequency that we found beforehand. So if you found period beforehand, then you would just do this work. If you have not, then you would do this work to find frequency. In our third example, we have y equals 3 cosine of negative 3 theta over 4 plus pi over 6. Now, what's different is the theta is within the fraction instead of next to it. So you can rewrite it. Now you don't have to rewrite it if you understand how to factor out the fraction. But if you don't, then you can rewrite it as 3 cosine of negative 3/4 theta plus pi over 6, then minus 2. So all I did was just pull away, factor away the fraction. So if it's negative 3 theta over 4, I factor away as negative 3/4 times theta. So A, B, C, and D. So A is 3. B is negative 3/4. C is negative pi over 6. And then D is negative 2. Alright. So we're going to find frequency. Now if you didn't find period, I'm just going to use this rule right here. So the absolute value of B over 2 pi. So our B is negative 3/4. So we're going to do the absolute value of it. So when you do the absolute value of it, it's just going to be 3 over 4 over 2 pi. Now, we have a fraction within the whole fraction, so we're going to rewrite it as a division problem. So the numerator goes first, 3 over 4 divided by 2 pi. And then, now 2 pi is a whole number, and when we change it to a multiplication, we have to flip this second fraction. So I'm just going to change this to a fraction. So now it's 2 pi over 1. And then when we change it to a multiplication, so it's going to be 3/4 times 1 over 2 pi. So now we have a fraction times a fraction. All we have to do is numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. So it's going to be 3 on the top. 4 times 2 pi is 8 pi. So that is our frequency, 3 over 8 pi. Now what happened here was that our b value started off as a fraction, and our fraction was in the numerator. So when we have that, I rewrote it as a division problem where numerator goes first, division, then denominator. Then I changed 2 pi into a fraction because I wanted to change from division to multiplication. So when we're doing that, from division to multiplication, we flip the second fraction, so which is 2 pi over 1, we flipped it, and then we solve it, simplify it as a multiplication, so numerator times numerator, and then denominator times denominator, which is 3 over 8 pi. We can't simplify because there's nothing in common between 3 and 8. So our frequency is 3 over 8 pi.